Joining us right now is New York Times foreign affairs columnist Tom Friedman. His latest piece is called America, China, and a Crisis of Trust, and it recounts his recent reporting trip to China and Taiwan. And Tom, welcome. What did you learn on your travels?
Oh, so many things, Becky, but I think the most important one is why trust. I mean, trust always matters, but why it matters more now than ever in terms of U.S.-China relations. And that is because basically so many things that we now exchange are dual use. In the Cold War, back we understood an F-15 was dual use with a military device, and a phone was a civilian device. And now basically that everything is connected and digital and spins off data. It can have a military application or a civilian application. There's a few lines of code difference between an autonomous car and an autonomous weapon. Well, as we trade, sell, buy those kinds of goods and services with China, and you see this in the TikTok story most prominently, trust matters more than ever, because you really have to hope the people who are exchanging those products share the same values you do. And if they don't, you're going to have a problem. And I think this is one of the deep underlying reasons for the breakdown politically between the U.S. and China now, and the kind of trade war we're going into.
You know, I would argue that trust is not running high, running incredibly low at this point. And there are a lot of good reasons for that, if you look through some of the issues that have led up to that trust deficit.
Well, I think the biggest thing that if you look at U.S.-China relations, there's just no question, Becky, that China took a U-turn, in the last decade. It wasn't like they were heading to be a democracy, but there was a sense. I think if you talk to business people who dealt with China for a long time, that the country was moving toward, a little more openness, a little more transparency, and even a little more freedom of press. And that was aborted, 10 years ago. And there's been a real U-turn as a result. And because of that, that kind of breakdown in a sense, or trust of where they were going, it's really been reflected in the breakdown in relations. Now, the Chinese would tell you from their side that what they feel is that the U.S. government is more dedicated than ever to the toppling of the Communist Party. And, that's their big issue. So, but there's no question in my mind that China has taken a U-turn, and it's affected their relations all over the globe.
I mean, what we're seeing, we were talking earlier today about Tim Cook being in India, opening the first couple retail stores there, the big movement they've been making in terms of just supplying, the supply chain being moved to India from China in some ways too. How does this play out over years? It just seems American business is being forced to look at other ways to diversify the supply chain, whether that be from lessons learned during the pandemic and being too reliant on one country, or whether that just be pressure from Washington to do just that.
Well, the supply chain issue is really complex because last year the U.S. and China had a record level of trade exchange. Now, 3/4 of that basically was U.S. imports of manufactured goods from China, and the other quarter, a lot of it was actually Chinese imports of American agricultural products. It is not easy to replace the China supply chain, because also you only have to ask Tim Cook. It isn't just one company. It's just one factor. They have, hey, we make Apple phones here. They have a network of suppliers there that are embedded in that ecosystem. The other thing, and James Crabtree pointed this out in a piece the other day from Singapore, is that, okay, we're moving the supply chain, say, to Vietnam or to Malaysia. But what you discover is that you've moved your factory maybe out of China to Vietnam or Malaysia, but the whole supply chain for that factory is still in China. Right. And until we have the kind of manufacturing base that we can stand up on our own with, right, it's not so easy to move these things around. And even when you move them, you discover that the second and third order supplies are actually still coming from China. Right.